Hello, everyone. It has been a second since we have hung out here and had a little Asia Teaches Me Things episode. And I'm really excited today because we're talking about something that I actually don't have a ton of personal insight or experience with. So I'm really happy to talk with some of my friends, with Claire, of course, and Eric. So welcome, you guys. Welcome, welcome. How's it going?
Hello, hello.
You're here.
Great. How are you
Doing
on
great.
this
Here.
rainy day in Louisville?
I know. Oh my goodness. Apologies in advance if we cut out at all, because there is a storm of brewing, and so hopefully this is not a surprise ending for all of us.
Everything just goes black all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
it's gonna be great. But as you guys all know, Claire, Claire is our social media manager. But we have Eric here as well, who is our SEO marketing manager. And we're going to talk about just everything SEO. Learn how you can add videos to your website to improve SEO, all SEO tips. Eric knows everything. So if you want to give a little
He
intro,
does.
yeah,
I
for
can
yourself.
attest. He
Yeah.
knows pretty much everything about SEO, everything about even things that you may not think are related to SEO. So
That's great. But Eric, can you tell us a little about yourself? Whatever you want to share.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for that intro. Like Asia mentioned, I'm Eric. I'm the SEO manager here at Switcher. I've been working in the SEO space for about 7 years now. Currently based out of Austin, Texas. So kind of excited to just get into some topics here about video and SEO.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Before we get into everything, I just want to say we are always happy, as always, to answer your questions. But we are going to be really focusing on any SEO focused questions in the stream. But you're always welcome to share your other Switcher related questions to our support email, support@switcherstudio.com. We also have some amazing mods in chat that are helping answer your questions either on Facebook or on YouTube. So we're really happy to help in any way we can and chat with you all. And we're really glad you're here. But yeah, we'll just focus on answering any SEO focused questions here towards the end of the stream today. And I also apologize for my dog. I think there's a mailman outside and she's barking. So just ignore her.
we love the pup
We do.
highlights.
The pups are the best.
Yes.
But Eric, first question I want to ask, because like I said, know very little about SEO, is why is SEO important in general?
Sure. So there's a lot of reasons. Of course, SEO is important in general, just in terms of your overall visibility within search engines. There's a lot of different parts of SEO. There's technical SEO, there's content marketing, there's local SEO. But we're really talking about today specifically is content marketing. So that's really important in general, just in terms of your long-term visibility in search engines, consistently creating quality content, whether that be articles, videos, infographics, or a combination of both, which is really what we always strive for. But yeah, it's something that will compound over time as you create content, as you create videos, as you create articles, and it's going to significantly increase your web traffic when you're creating that quality, helpful content that serves the purpose of answering your users' questions. The kind of the biggest thing I always tell people is to just become a trusted resource for information within your niche or your category. That go-to place when someone has a question about the product you create.
That's a good point to focus on, because I feel like it can feel overwhelming to just think of oh, what are all the things I can do to optimize everything, but really focusing on your niche is a nice way to frame everything else.
More attainable. Yeah.
For sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I love the delay.
No, go for it.
So just like I mentioned, we want to create content for people, not search engines.
Yeah.
SEO in the very early days, late 90s, early 2000s, there was a lot of manipulation. It's really not, for one, it's just not a good practice. And it doesn't really work anymore. So that's kind of the biggest thing. Create content for those users that you're looking to target, and be a helpful resource for them.
That's cool. I really like that shift of focus of like, we are creating content for people.
Yes.
I'm not trying to trick people here or trick.
We're all human beings here, mostly, I think. So
one would hope. That's awesome. In particular, how can a video help improve your SEO?
Yeah, so I could probably list 100 different ways, but Google and all these search engines, they don't typically release specifically what their ranking factors are, but just based on some tests we've done, some things that even with Switcher that we've seen, when you pair your articles or your content with video, it always performs better. It keeps people engaged, keeps people on the page longer. People like to watch videos. It's a very easy resource, easy way to get resources. On top of that, YouTube is now the second largest search engine in existence behind Google, bigger than Bing, bigger than these other search engines. If someone's not Googling something, they're going to YouTube, or they're watching a video on it.
Yeah, I just did that right before Eric joined this call. I just got a game, and I didn't really understand the rules fully just by reading them. I needed to see a visual thing, so I just looked up the game on YouTube, and the first game overview, I was like taking notes, and it's super helpful. That's definitely my go-to.
Case in point. Yeah.
Yeah. So so like I said, YouTube is a big point of emphasis now, with it being owned by Google, and the opportunity to rank for video snippets, which is those YouTube videos within the search engine. Going further on to that, even if you're not hosting on YouTube, if you're hosting on your own video player, such as Switcher Player, and you're hosting that on your website, we've seen metrics where users are a lot more likely to convert if there's a video attached to that product or service. So there's been quite a few studies on that. So that there's a lot of different benefits, both from an off-page, separate from your website point of view, and also on page.
That's interesting. What are your thoughts on live selling? How does selling product play into your strategy when it comes to video and SEO?
Yeah, so specifically talking about something like Switcher Player, you can embed links directly onto that video, that link to your product, and keep the end user engaged and keep the user on that page is very beneficial. Again, like we mentioned, ranking for product snippets with video is another big benefit to that. But yeah, so, and I think live selling is something that's still in the early stages, and it's only going to grow.
Yeah.
I foresee that to be something that explodes in the next couple of years here.
That's really cool. So what are some I don't know, just any tips on optimizing videos or optimizing your website that we haven't really talked through yet?
Yeah, so of course, keyword research is a big part of it. There's a lot of paid and free tools out there. There's some, WordStream or Google Ads Keyword Planner. It's a good place for someone to get started if they want to, look into what keywords are getting search volume. And you can utilize that strategy in terms of titling your video and creating your video descriptions. So that's kind of, an easy first step there. Transcripts, especially, are something that these search engines and YouTube take into account. Creating those transcripts and allowing these search engines to really understand what your video is about as they parse those transcripts. That's another big part of it as well. Playlists, whether that be on YouTube or whether that be on Switcher Player on your website, allowing people to watch the next video in that series
Right.
is super helpful. It's going to, of course, keep your user engaged. It's going to keep on the page longer, and it's going to help with conversions. So yeah, and then adding links, of course, like we mentioned,
Of course,
adding links to whether it be a product or another article or whatever it may be. Having that user take another next step in on your website or in your content funnel.
Yeah. And I'm really curious your thoughts on like creating a strategy for content on your website versus social channels. Like, how do you like use both or focus on one? Like, what is your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, I think YouTube's very important. There's it's almost too big to fail at this point.
Yeah.
It's something I want you to focus on. There's a lot of situations where you would want to own your own content, whether that's because you want the content to be white labeled and match your brand. You can also avoid those pre-roll or suggested videos, those pre-roll ads or the suggested videos that may not align with your brand, or may not, if someone on your website, you want that experience, that good experience.
Control
so that's
it
where
from start to finish.
come into count.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So that's,
I feel like sometimes if your organization, it's not aligned with your organization, it could totally throw off your audience. So like I'm even off the top of my head thinking like worship users, if you're in sort of a mind frame of a service or a worship, more thoughtful, mindset base, then you probably don't want to be bombarded with like an ad for a mop or like a vacuum or something,
Not the focus.
As you do.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know what that says about what my targeted ads are, but
that's awesome. How would you use like, since we love Switcher Player over here, how would you like utilize that as a tool as you like with all the features that it includes? Like, how would you best optimize Switcher Player for an organization or a business or whatever?
Yeah, so I think there's quite a few different ways. One being if you create a lot of live content, of course, that's something that's very beneficial. Where you're not, again, having pre-roll ads if someone wants to tune in. You own that content, and you're allowed to put in your own links and keep that user engaged and on your website. And I think overall it just creates a more human connection to that brand. When you have your own white labeled video player, it creates a better connection with that brand or that service, and a more professional look and feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Do you want to talk about social search? I know Claire was really excited about this. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that's super interesting when we were talking about having Eric on was just like, again, the differences between SEO and social search and sort of when to use which. And, when you're thinking about Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, the content is like more focused on grabbing attention and sort of like building that awareness and establishing your brand versus like, I think what Eric is talking about is sort of more like it's focused on converting people, or it's like really related to your mission or your product or your service or, whatever you're offering. So I think there's kind of like that key difference of like when you're using it. But yeah, I don't want to speak for Eric, but I don't know.
I think you're right on there. There's definitely a benefit to both. But, I think you're right on there, Claire.
Well, and I think too, like a big thing that started to happen with social platforms is they're starting to realize that a lot of people are using them as a search engine. So, like Eric mentioned with YouTube, that's obviously a huge one, but also like TikTok has become sort of like the go-to search engine for people who are usually Gen Z, but like it's becoming more of a thing. And it actually, I think it was last summer, it had like passed Google for like a week or something in
Right.
terms of like the search traffic, or I don't know. So anyways, it is something that you want to start thinking about. And so what some of the social channels, or most of them, have started doing is really optimizing for keywords and phrases similar to how Google and search engines do.
So interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's fascinating. And it's interesting how people's behaviors are, I guess, developing on
Yeah.
social channels. Yeah.
It's like a living
everyone-
thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's chasing the short form video craze.
Yes.
You started to see YouTube and Facebook and everyone else kind of
Adopting it.
try to catch up with
Right.
TikTok.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's very, I'll speak for myself in my own TikTok use. It's very addicting because you can just keep scrolling.
I know. It's just like easily digestible information. And
Yes.
so you just like feel,
Keep going.
yeah. Like, I can do this.
Yeah. You just lose hours. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Crazy.
It's time for dinner now. Got it. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other thoughts on social search? Anything that's like, I don't know, like your best tip or one takeaway, or I don't know, maybe that's too much pressure, but I'm like taking notes here.
No, you're good. I think well, for me there's a couple of things. So a lot of platforms like specifically Instagram use your bio specifically, and the title, not your handle, but the title of your service or your name. And I believe TikTok does this as well, but they use that as a way to pull in your profile for search. So that's something that you definitely want to optimize for keywords that you think people would be using to find a service or an organization or a platform like yours. The other thing too is like Eric mentioned, short form video content, and really any video content. You really want to be pretty careful about the way that you're using keywords and phrases in your description. So like the post description or the YouTube description, you want to incorporate those keywords in there. Title is huge again. And then also for things like TikTok and Instagram Reels, if you're adding captions and like text over top of your video, you want to make sure that you're using those keywords and phrases in those videos too. And even maybe if you're being really careful about how you're scripting things, some of the audio tracks, as Eric mentioned, the transcripts are now becoming more indicative of how they're going to categorize those videos for search. So incorporating some of the main ideas of your video in the first few seconds of whatever audio you have, whether that's like a narrator, sort of like a voiceover kind of thing, or even in like I said, if you have a script, if you're organized enough to write everything out ahead of time, like that, adding it there,
I'd be impressed
too. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's harder to do it on the go, but that's why like you can kind of solve for that with like going back with a voiceover. Like, for example, with, if you have a live stream like this, you could even like take a clip or some B-roll from it and then just add a voiceover later when you go to put it in Instagram Reels or TikTok or YouTube Shorts, all of that, you can add the voiceover that kind of helps solve for it. Or like I said, like if you're going to add like the graphic text or caption in there, that can also help sort of solve for it.
That's cool.
So yeah.
Very awesome.
I think some of the easiest steps to take when talking about titles and descriptions and things like that is just go into those platforms and just start searching for.
I was just about to ask you that. I'm like, what's the best ways to find that information?
Yeah, so just kind of look at what people have done and check out their titles and just get a feel for what people are searching for as it relates to that video topic.
Factor in that research time.
Yeah.
That, at least for me, when I'm trying to come up with captions and things, that takes up probably half of the time, if not more.
Strategizing.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Cool.
Yeah. Well, do we want to ask and maybe check and see if there are any questions from anyone?
That would be great. Do you see anything?
Yeah, I don't know that there's really anything to do with SEO on here. So
all right.
I guess if you guys have questions about it later, if you want to drop them in the comments, Eric,
we do get a lot of really good questions like after the stream. So
I know.
Looking forward to everyone's questions.
Yeah, well, we can respond later if you happen to catch this on a replay. So, yeah.
You guys have any other thoughts before we wrap up?
I don't, but just really excited to have Eric on here. And I feel like I'm always like excited to learn more about search and how to just make content better. So really appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, anytime. For real,
Come
anytime.
back.
Yeah. We already have your cool title and everything. So.
Yeah, you gotta come back now. It's permanent.
Yes, definitely. All right. Well, I guess I'll see you all soon. Thanks for being here. I'm gonna wrap up here. I'll see you later, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. I hope that you were able to learn something new today. I know I did. I know normally I'm like teaching things here, but I'm really excited to get some subject matter experts in here and tell me all the things. And I hope that this was insightful for you. Make sure you're following us on all the social platforms at Spitzer Studio, and feel free to ask your questions. If we didn't get to your question, or you came on in the replay, please still leave a question in the comments, and we're happy to answer those. We really appreciate all the feedback, and we just love talking to you all. So we are going to be live next at the end of the month. We're going to switch our shows to Fridays, which is very exciting. And so we will post some information about that as we get closer to that date, but it's always a pleasure to be here with you. I hope that you enjoyed. I'll see you soon.